What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another CLG FGC podcast, and it's a very special episode because it's the EVO episode. We finally had the EVO announcements this year. They went over the lineup, what kind of games are going to be at EVO 2023, some details about the format, some prizing information, some new sponsors. So there's a lot of topics to discuss within this whole EVO realm. So I guess we can go ahead and get into it and talk about the lineup. So let's just break it down, what is in there, and then we can talk about what we were surprised about and what we're not surprised about, right? So I'm not surprised. Street Fighter 6 is coming to EVO 2023. That's going to be a big one. Guilty Gear Strive, DBFZ returns, Tekken 7 returns, KOF 15 is in there, Melty Blood makes an appearance, Mortal Kombat 12, and then I think the big surprise is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Ooh.
So yeah,
wait, 12 is in there?
12 is in there.
Wait. 12 was announced?
You meant MK11.
Oh, I always do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you got some insider info, Brian?
I always leak MK12. No, this is like the 30th time when I look at MK11. The logo, it says 11, but I say 12 every time. So don't.
So MK12, got it. Okay.
Yeah, we're keeping the 12 under wraps for now. But yeah, MK11, it makes it back. No surprise about Street Fighter 6. I mean, I think that's going to be
absolutely
the highest registered EVO tournament ever.
There's a chance that, it could break some records. Like the highest registered was SF5 the first year, which was like 5,000 or something.
Yes.
I mean, there was a lot of DQs to be fair.
That was wild.
But, but I always wonder what happened if all the 5,000 people actually showed up.
Right.
If they could handle it actually. But yeah, I have a feeling it could hit those numbers again for Street Fighter 6.
I'm wondering. The bubble was very big. Like Street Fighter 4, at the end of it, it was growing in the competitive scene year after year. Viewership was going up, and tournament entrant numbers were going up, even for locals. Like everything was just going up, and so the hype for Street Fighter 5 was huge. And then obviously that was like the bubble that burst. Yeah, so after 5,000 at EVO 2016, it's been down since then. It's like 2,000, 1,800. So yeah, Street Fighter 6 is capturing that audience again. So it might break 6,000, which would be rough. But at this time, you're right. A lot of people register and they don't show up, which happens at the beginning of every major game release. Like I've done so many tournaments. DBFZ, I did final round, which is the first major tournament after that came out.
Yeah.
I got to winners finals of my pool, which was like a 80-man pool, without playing a match. I got DQ'd to winners finals.
People get wrapped up in the hype of the new game. Yeah.
Wasn't it the year that DBFZ released? Wasn't Combo Breaker? Like there's so many people that registered, and then by the time it was Combo Breaker time, it was like 1/5 or some shit like that. It was really
Strive. That might have been Strive.
I forget because I went to that Combo Breaker. There was a lot of people there.
Final round was the first one for DBFZ because I followed that was the tournament season leading up to EVO. So final round was the first one. So I think for Combo Breaker it was Strive. So
it probably was.
Yeah, I think they had a huge opening, and so we'll see about that. Street Fighter 6 is going to be huge. But I think the other surprise one for me, besides UMVC 3, which we'll get into, I'm surprised about Mortal Kombat. I wasn't sure if MK11 would make it back because they're pushing their tournament cycle. Like they've been completely dropped by NRS entirely for the past since COVID happened. And normally it's 2 years and a new game comes out, and this is like year 4.
They're going through it.
MK11.
There's a drought. There's definitely a drought in the scene, it seems. And wasn't there a leak? Like the leak of something or a hint?
Maybe there's that leak is tying into this appearance. Maybe NRS is trying to be like, hey, remember me, guys? Listen, we didn't forget about you. We're on EVO.
That's a theory I've been hearing, but I don't know how much I buy it. Mortal Kombat is such a large video game franchise that I almost feel like announcing at EVO might be a waste as opposed to announcing it at a bigger game conference or something. But maybe it's just like it's happening announcement. And then the bigger trailer will be at some, I don't know, like E3 or something like that.
Well, do you think the bigger announcement can happen before? I don't know if there's any other big industry events coming up before EVO. Maybe there's a big announcement and then part of their presence is EVO as well.
Oh, true. Yeah. That's good.
It's hard to tell because this lineup, I think in the past, I don't know how true this is. This is me speculating. In the past, there was definitely a very much a business relationship with the publishers and what makes it to Evo. But I think that's starting to shift, and I think we'll go more into details with that with the sponsor and pricing. But like UMVC3 is at Evo. That's obviously the allocated flashback spot, or I forgot the term, the throwback.
Throwback.
Yeah, so they
the
gave a section where there's like, okay, this will always be going forward, where we're going to do a throwback tournament, which means that's not publisher supported. Capcom is not paying to have UMVC3 there. If anything, there's legal issues to host.
There's no way
right?
Marvel would. Yeah,
right. If anything, Disney, they're taking a legal risk to host UMVC3 at Evo.
Didn't even consider that.
Yeah, to me, it seems like they're starting to kind of like stray from this being. I think Evo was becoming like a publisher show. Like it was not really a tournament. It's like you pay to have our game here.
It's a big marketing opportunity. Yeah.
So there could be a chance that MK11 they're just like, look, the community's still going. Let's throw them a bone and host it. Or NRS is behind it as well. Because on the flip side, one game that didn't make it, which I think is big news, is DNF Duel.
Oh yeah.
That's big news.
Harsh, but like also
no, I didn't
harsh but fair.
Wait. Hold on. Before the guns come out. No, I just wanted to say, like, I only said that because when I was on Twitter, I'm a Twitter bug, and I don't really see DNF Duel talked about like that when it comes to like tournaments or circuits and stuff. It seems kind of like dry or dead. Like, I mean, like the drive for it. Like, there's not a lot going on compared to the other games.
But it's weird because ArcSys doesn't handle the tour well, because it's at the Arc Revo Finals, Arc World Finals is coming up. They're doing Guilty Gear and DNF Duel. It's there. So that is happening. But yeah, DNF Duel released right before, like a month before Evo last year. And so people are like, okay, you're going to host it or not? And then it didn't make the cut last year. And so it's like, okay, this is the year it's going to make it. But then it didn't. It just did not catch on. So basically it totally missed its opportunity.
And I imagine ArcSys would have to pay even more for DNF to also be in it.
So it's 2 games,
and why not just have their more successful game in their Strive? So
that because that would be 2 games and more money. So just pick the more successful one in there, which is
But I mean,
but both are going to be at the tour though. The
finals.
Who knows? After that, DNF Duel might not come back to an Arc tour. They might drop it because there hasn't been any. We'll have to see. Like the Arc tour is going to happen. I think this weekend is the final.
It's this weekend.
It's right. Friday, I think.
Goichi about to pull up for a paycheck.
We'll see what they announce after that.
I thought the same thing. In fact, when I first saw the lineup, I was really shocked. Like you guys said, Mortal Kombat was in, because I feel like people have been like, this is the last Mortal Kombat Evo for like 2 years. Mortal Kombat 11,
dude. And after last year's Mortal Kombat Top 8, where it went like 5 hours long with RoboCop mirrors and like it being 3 out of 5, I was like, I don't know if I'll see this again next year. It probably won't come back till MK12, but I don't know. You know, like it's the publisher and the tournament are really like hand in hand in the Evo series. So I'm sure, you know, if someone can pay for it, it's going to be NRS. Right?
We're speculating though.
More bro money.
We don't know 100% how that relationship works. You know, like
I have no idea.
It's hard to fully. I think there is some kind of like money transaction to have your game featured at Evo. Rather than the other way around, where I think other tournaments are like paying licenses to be able to host the tournament. So it's hard to tell how this is actually working. But it's safe to assume that this is not just like, hey, we like this game, let's put it at Evo. I think there's a bit more.
There's more to it.
Behind the scenes to host
I do appreciate that they're at least giving a spot for every studio. Like I'm happy French Bread, I think, seems like they have a spot like safely for sure. You know, SNK.
Especially because like Melty has just been growing like for the last year. I mean, obviously, like when Melty came out, not a lot of people were super fond of it at first, but it's had a lot of changes, and like the community I think really loves it right now. So it's in a really good place, and it's like definitely one of the tournaments there I want to watch, just because I feel like they'll probably only go up from there. And also a lot of their system or like their DLC approach is great. It's like every DLC character was like free or something. I was like, that's sick.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. And all the DLC characters have been bangers too, and they've been bringing a lot of Fate characters, which are obviously very popular. So it makes sense. But yeah, it's cool. Like ever since Under Night got its Evo spot, there's been that French Bread spot, and I really do hope that continues.
And I love that. Eunice was so good. Was it 2019? That was so good. I loved it. I actually loved watching it there.
Right.
French Bread are the devs, correct?
Yeah, they're the
Just making sure
for Melty Blood and Underground.
Right.
Yeah.
Solid.
Another one I was a little unsure of until recently was DBFZ, right? Like I really did not think DBFZ would be back at Evo. But then now after the finals this past weekend, it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of adding up together because they're actually they've been talking about rollback for a year and a half now. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it feels like
211 days,
and that hasn't happened. So they've had no updates, and they said the last balance patch was final. So this seemed to be the end meta, and the end meta kind of sucked because it was Lab Coat 21 and the fusions running everything. So everyone, the game kind of homogenized and converged onto these couple of characters. But they announced that there's going to be a balance patch. So I think, do we know the date of the balance patch? Will that be before Evo?
No, we don't. So the only thing they announced was rollback beta is coming in spring, and then there is going to be a balance patch, and they said there's going to be a balance patch because it got into Evo. So that was actually a result of it getting into Evo.
They mentioned the cause and effect. I didn't know that.
Yeah, which was crazy to me because everyone thought that the last patch was for sure it. We couldn't even believe we got one. I thought Lab Coat was so broken that they're like, okay, we may have made a mistake. We're kidding. We're gonna nerf her from top 1 to top 1. We're sorry, guys. Yeah, and now they're actually having another balance patch if it's going to be at Evo. But yeah, we'll see where
it's more like they sold all their DLC that they could at this point. So time to make the game look good for leading into DBFZ 2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. But I'm happy they're even updating it. I think a lot of people were hoping for Dragon Ball 2 or whatever down the line.
Right.
I wouldn't hold my breath for that, honestly. It's cool that even DBFZ is still being supported at all. You're getting rollback, so we'll see what the patch shapes up to be.
So it has to come before Evo then, if it's
for sure.
Of Evo.
For sure. It has
Sweet.
To be.
DBFZ is such a sick game, but it was definitely getting stale because of the meta. So I'm excited for that actually. And also it runs a long time. So that was another reason why I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that is for sure a big part of it. Yeah, I think and that's another thing too I wanted to say is the lineup is 8 games this time. And it's a little, I gotta imagine it's because of just how long the top 8s went last year. It went into over past midnight. Dragon Ball Grand Finals was like Wawa versus Nitro, and Nitro told me he was like getting sleepy, playing Grand Finals.
It went super late for Dragon Ball. It was
I've never heard of anything going that late.
No, it was so late. I hope MK11 is 2 out of 3 this year because that was also a big part of it.
They have some other solutions to that. Well,
yeah,
they're off on dropping that.
There's one more thing.
I guess we'll get into that shortly. I guess another one I'm not surprised about, Tekken 7, one last showing, I guess.
Yeah, for
Tekken's
sure.
Always sick at Evo.
Yeah. It's about what did Tasty Steve say? It's the longest running competitive Tekken, something like that. But it's this is a really long running Tekken. 7 years.
It is.
Yeah.
7, 8, but it's really good because we came from a spot where it was, we were like the forgotten one. Like Tag 2
I remember
got
that.
no love at one point.
Yeah,
we were really holding it up. And then 7 comes around, and then it just every year we keep on getting showered with gifts and prizes, and we keep on coming back to Evo, and the numbers are better than ever. Great players, new faces, all of this. I mean, I'm excited. It should be there, and I hope we get more announcements, maybe more gameplay.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a conversation that a lot of people don't talk about is just Tekken's rise from what it was before. Because I remember when in the Tag 2 era, like I would go to Marvel tournaments and like Tekken wasn't popping the same way as it is now. And it started as an arcade tournament because Tekken 7 was only out in arcades. And then slowly after console release, up the numbers. It's really cool to see. Like Tekken 7 where
I remember Tag 2 was like you'd have to make a wrong turn when you're clicking around in the tournament stream.
Yes.
And then you would see Tag 2 and have a couple hundred viewers, and you're like, oh wait, this isn't the main stream for the tournament. Where am I? That's how it felt like for years back in like the 2010s, 2013, 14 era. It was like, Tag 2, I would only see it by making a wrong turn. Like, oh no, there's no Street Fighter or Marvel here. What am I doing?
My bad. Sorry.
It's sick to see. And it's a great spectator game. Tekken 7 and Evo kills it every time. It's one of the best showings by far. Super hype.
Very good. It's very good. It's I always say like the people who hung in there for it, this is our reward, this is our prize. So, we hung in there, and this is what we get. We get to celebrate this. Evo coming, Tekken 7 coming back to Evo every year. So, yeah, obviously not surprised.
Did we get a Tekken 8 release date? When is that
No.
relative to Evo?
Just next year, right?
It's just 2024. I said, I guess.
Imagine 2024 Tekken 7 and Evo again.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
That'd be one too many. That'd be one too many, I feel like.
Because then at that point, I don't, give me 8 next year, bro. Because it's all this hype around it. And I'm like, people showing their little tickets for Evo Japan that they're going to get to play the alpha test.
And, that's true. Yeah.
But they can't record footage. So we got to just go off of word of mouth. And I'm like, man, please announce something at Evo this year. At least Evo Japan and then Evo America, something.
I do hope that, the development of Tekken 8 is not impacted by the Evo dates, because SF6 this year is coming out pretty close to Evo, I'd say. There isn't a whole lot of time between its release date and Evo's launch, which is fine, because the game should just be good. That's the most important thing. And, Evo will happen when it happens. So
delayed a few months. I think originally a lot of signs point towards it trying to come out in February. So I think they had planned to release it same time they released Street Fighter V to have plenty of time to build up the Evo. So now it's only like 2.5 months, 3 months away from Evo. So it's going to be potentially the biggest fighting game tournament ever on a relatively fresh game for those of us with honor and integrity.
For honor,
for all those not in the crack house.
So
I
can't wait to see that. That's gonna first. That's gonna be Street Fighter 6. It's at Evo. Wait, because it would have came out. CEO's gonna have it right beforehand.
Yeah, CEO will be like the first major tournament to have Street Fighter 6. And then it'll be the month after that, I think, will be Evo, if I have my timetable correct. So that's going to be a lot of action soon after release. So there'll be some suspicious individuals, I'm sure.
Yeah, doing suspiciously
some broken
well.
stuff.
Right.
Me personally, I'm going to play a character that isn't a part of the crack house for a small advantage in a different way.
Same.
Yeah.
I love this strat.
There you go. And then I guess Guilty Gear is also coming back. Do we have any thoughts about Guilty Gear? I mean, it's had big showing last Evo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine it being the most centered tournament this year, but I gotta imagine it'll be the second most centered. I mean, Street Fighter 6 is for sure gonna be number one.
Right.
Yeah, you got it, Brian. Relax.
There we go. It can't be. Oh man,
I think for Strive, I'm excited. Just because last year, and obviously we don't know how it'll be later this year, but a lot of Japanese players who were confirmed for Strive ended up not going because of like COVID stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of like fucked up like a lot of expectations and like, oh, I want to see this player in top 8, and then they didn't even show because of that.
Yeah.
So I think even though it's a bit late, I think a lot of people are really going to be looking at that as well as Evo Japan for like how most other regions compared to Japan.
That's true.
Which I'm interested in a lot.
Yeah,
Evo Japan is helping to make up for that, because this year's Evo, it was still a lot of travel restrictions were going on, and people weren't comfortable with traveling because of COVID. So it definitely wasn't like 100% Evo. It was like 75%.
If you wanted to travel from if you wanted to travel from Japan to Evo and just go back, you'd have to quarantine for like a week if you came back. And the flights were incredibly expensive. I remember one of them telling me it was like $4,000, $5,000, something crazy. Yeah. And then you have to take the week off from work if you have to get back. So I understand only a few players like Bombabon, Jiro, like really even were able to come out for Evo last year. It's going to be different this year because they always come out in large.
That definitely sucks for your first Evo. Like Guilty Gear had such a huge boom with Strive, and then the first Evo you kind of want that huge, like who knows, like Guilty Gear Strive could have broke that tournament record. I don't know if we can account for 3,000 people from not traveling, because I think Guilty Gear Strive was like 2,000 something. I think would have had a lot more, and the level of competition would have been higher. Because Street Fighter V, we felt the same way at Evo. It was like it wasn't quite the same without as much international competition. So I'm sure with Strive, you guys were feeling it. But at least we have Evo Japan. I'm happy more than ever. I'm happy that there's Evo Japan, because we really missed out on a lot of the international Japanese competitors in this year's Evo. So I think that makes up for it. Even for Street Fighter V, I'm excited for that, because tons of Japanese players didn't show up, and we got one more big international tournament before 6.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people going to Evo Japan this year compared to past years. I think this. Oh, I remember Giona posting something about it. It's just the most amount of Americans actually going to Japan, like Evo Japan, because in the past, like it's only like a few actually showed up, and it's more people coming to the States. It's nice to see that trend in reverse, like more people going to Evo Japan.
Right. For Strive, it's especially very nice because I mean one of the main like storylines around it is like. In older Guilty years, Japan was always so much further ahead in like every way. Like it was wild how much further they were. So like that storyline kind of removed from the first half of Star kind of sucked. But it makes it a lot more interesting now, right? Because it's like, oh, we have Umi Sho, the NA champ from last time. Let's see how she does against Mochi or someone like that. Even though it's still something that happens at Arc Revo or could happen. It's obviously on a much less grander scale than something like Evo. So
I hope Japan realizes Happy Chaos is good after this Umi Show. You need to show them the truth.
Are they still down, dude? Japan tier lists are always so cuckoo.
Very different.
All of us are like, Umi, you need to go out there. You gotta shoot the ball with Happy Chaos. It's the only way they'll learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that also happened in Exerd with Elfelt. That was another thing that was super cursed with Lossel as well. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was also playing Chaos now. But yeah, for sure. Also, one more small thing that like for Evo last year, even Strive was the most entered game, so it was the last game in the Evo top 8. I actually think the last slot is actually not the best viewing slot. I actually think it's not that good.
Oh, why?
Well, that's because they always go over schedule too, and it ends up being really late. So I think that's also okay. I guess I've been hinting at this.
We've been hinting at it for a while.
Evo top 8 is no longer top 8. It's now top 6, which I think blows just because that's
very disappointing.
What we're used to, and also the level of competition keeps rising and rising and rising, and now there's fewer and fewer opportunities to get recognition, which I think is the inverse of what we should be doing. But I think the point of it is because logistics and Evo is not just a tournament for any one game. It's for all these communities. They're trying to shine a spotlight on all of them. And also they have industry stuff going on. So honoring the players is not the number one goal. There's a lot of things going on there. And so I think that's why they're doing it. They're making it top 6 instead. And it all won't be on one night also. Rick already confirmed that. So I think they're trying to take steps to avoid going over schedule like they've always done, especially the last Evo. It definitely went over schedule.
Yeah.
The last Evo was rough. I went
super
way past my bedtime by the time Strive ended. It was rough.
Last year I felt like Street Fighter 5 had the best time slot.
Oh, honestly. Yeah. Street Fighter 5's gotten like the second to last time slot a couple of times now, and it's always been the best.
It's better. Yeah.
The second to last is like peak, and they had the peak viewership, I think, in most of those times because it just becomes too late for the Western, like the USA audience, North American audience, which is the primary audience of Evo. They end up going to sleep straight up unless you're on West Coast, right? East Coast goes to bed before Evo Grand Finals of the last game goes on. So viewership always dips.
We'll see how top 6 affects, I guess, the schedule, the stream schedule. But yeah, I'm not a fan, man. And I think it's even worse that the prizing is also affected. Like it's not like, oh, we're just doing this because we don't have enough stream time, but the top 8 will still get medals and paid out. It's like, no. There's just 2 less people that are getting paid. And not only are they not getting the stream time for top 8 or whatever, they're also not getting paid. They're not getting like a medal or whatever.
No medals, no nothing.
If you don't get any screen time, you are probably the biggest loser.
Can you imagine?
Sorry, you go first.
I was going to say, can you imagine Street Fighter 6? It might be the biggest fighting game tournament of all time. You end up beating enough people to win 5 majors in a row. You end up getting 7th in the bracket, and then you don't get a medal. You don't get any money. You don't get any main stage time. You don't get any notoriety or recognition. Like you get nothing. Like it just
it's a 7th base.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it's just like the level of competition and the stakes are rising more and more, and we're limiting more and more who we celebrate. Which is just not sustainable. Like. So many people act like if you're not first, you're last. But then if that's what you want, you're going to have people at the top of a mountain that's like 5 feet high. We need to raise more people up to make the climb worthwhile. Otherwise, you're going to be the king of a hill, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like we keep limiting the recognition and rewards to make it more and more top heavy. It's the opposite of what we should be doing to make this more sustainable.
I'm so glad you said that because, that's why people celebrate a top 8 so much because it's highlighting everyone who grinded so hard to get through all those people with international comp that's already in the country, like all of that, like that grind at Evo, like that mattered, right? So you showcase everybody, and that was important. But when you all said no medals, no money, it's only the top 6. It just, and I hope obviously other tournaments won't follow that, right?
Dude, that's also a fear I had, because Evo is the tournament that sets precedents,
I know.
Yeah.
And I hope this does not have a trickle down effect. That is
top 8 exists because Evo decided on that.
Yeah.
Right. Like this
oh my God,
this culture, this tradition we have of top 8 is set because of Evo in the past. And there's an argument to be made there that it's arbitrary, right? What if Evo already chose top 6 or whatever, right? It is, to a degree, yes, it's arbitrary, but it's a tradition now, and the tradition is moving in the wrong direction, right?
Like
it's just
top 8 is the standard, Brian. It's the tradition. It's what we know. 8 is a beautiful number.
It is. It's a nice even number, right? Like half of 8 is 4, half of 6.
Yeah, 4 winners, 4 losers. It's perfect. It's good. It's not even just us. Smash does it too. Like it's like
right. Yeah. So people do say it's just tradition, and tradition doesn't always mean it's right or wrong. But I just still think celebrating more players is always better than celebrating less.
I love that.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
Imagine making 9th last year, then this year you make like 7th or something. That would feel so bad.
It's horrendous.
Pushing that bar.
And there's going to be more people than ever with more money for most of these tournaments than ever. It just doesn't make sense.
I'm working harder to get gate kept harder. This shit sucks.
Yeah, dude. Right. I will say though, getting 9th this year, not so bad. It's not so bad.
Oh yeah. 9th won't hurt as much, right?
Yeah, no, 9th won't hurt. So before it's like 4 like 9th place losers, and they're in pain, and now it's only 2 7th place losers.
Right.
So they're gonna have twice the amount of pain for the amount of 9th.
Right.
Spread out the
grind.
I like the way you're maneuvering this in your head. The logic here.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. Speaking of that money, though, like we're talking about the money prizes. So Evo this year actually does have guaranteed cash prizes for the first time ever, not from a publisher. And I think this was a big talking point from last year's Evo, where people were looking at like the Street Fighter prize pools, like the big tournament prize pools were like, they're only based on the pot. Like, so we rehash this every time, but I'll do it again. When you enter a tournament, you pay a tournament fee, which goes to the venue, a venue fee. Oh, sorry, I had that backwards. You pay a venue fee, which goes to the venue just to get in the door. Everyone pays that flat rate. And that might be like $100 these days for Evo, for example. And then to enter the tournament, you'll throw in usually $10 to actually enter the tournament. $10 if I want to enter Street Fighter 6, $10 if I want to enter Guilty Gear or Tekken, right? And then that $10 is what actually funds the prize pool. So everyone pays their little $10 to get in. You have 1,000 people in the tournament. You have $10,000 in the prize pool that gets split up, right? And that doesn't scale very well because you look at the prize pools last year. First place, like Street Fighter 5 only had, like for first place, you got like $7,000 for first place, World Championship. Guilty Gear, you got still under 10K. I think Tekken also had 7,000. For the smaller tournaments, you're getting like 1,000, 2,000 maybe. For first place in the world champion of fighting games, right? So people are like, this is embarrassing, right? And in the past, there was more money because publishers used to put prize pools for their specific games. Street Fighter 5 at EVO 2019 had a $50,000 prize pool because Capcom added that on top of the pot. And so, but now when there's no reason to support Evo, like the publisher's like, hey, this game is done. Why would I give you money for the tournament? We're not selling DLC for it anymore. We have our next variation, our next iteration coming out. We don't even want you to play this game anymore. We want you to buy the new game, right? Why would they have an incentive to give money? So Evo is finally solving that problem by getting sponsors to actually put money into the prize pool for Evo directly. So we got Chipotle. Chipotle is presenting Evo, and we have $25,000 guaranteed pot minimum per game. So no matter which of these 8 games you enter, you have a $25,000 prize pool, and that will be split between the top 6 people for each game.
Oh man, if I get 7th, dude, if I get 7th place, I'm gonna need a lot of burrito bowls, man. I'm gonna need a lot of them.
Here's some coupons for some free burrito bowls.
Yeah, they might hit you with a burrito.
A year supply.
Hard day's work. Here you go. Like, year supply. Hell no.
Oh.
You get one cold burrito bowl that's been left out all day.
Sorry,
I ate half of it.
It's gonna cost extra.
The guac is extra.
Yeah, the guac is
Don't even think about it. Oh, rough.
It sucks because like it's like a complicated position because I feel like there's always people who complain about how much money is in it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you really fix that problem to make people happy and also like make it possible? You know what I mean?
It was always an issue of like the scale of show versus the prize pool, though, because it was like lights, camera, action. We're in Vegas in Mandalay Bay. It looks like a professional production. There's this huge stage and all that. Here's your check for $1,000. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why is this so big? Why does this cost millions of dollars to put on? And then at the end, the player who wins gets peanuts compared to how much money is flowing through hands compared to the rest of it, right? So it just looked bad to anyone with eyes. Sure. Anyone with eyes would look at this and be like, this is stupid.
I don't know. I really wonder what this top 6 payout, because it's cool. It's the most amount of money there's ever been put in Evo ever. But it being more top heavy only for top 6, I don't know if I hope this trend doesn't continue, but maybe SF5, like one player will get $1 million. That idea is just so cool, and maybe it adds the legitimacy and enough eyes on the event that people are
let's slow down here. It's 25K for the prize pool. First place is not getting 25K, so it's still not going to be. First place gets like what, 40% of that, so it's going to be
42%. Yeah,
it's going to be like 12,000 or something.
Yeah. I'm just saying that this top heavy nature, like that, is I guess kind of changing, at least for Evo. But I don't know. I just hope they're not doing that because they want the first place winner to feel like they're making so much more, and then they can like kind of brag about it. It's like what I'm trying to say is, I think the spectacle of making a ton of money as the winner is, I guess, marketable or cool, and people want to be that guy. So
I think that's what the Street Capcom Pro Tour is doing, but I don't think that's what Evo is doing, because Capcom Pro Tour, it's not going to be the same price distribution, 42% than whatever the next one is. It's going to be a huge percentage difference between $1 million for first and second place, right? So the finals for Capcom Pro Tour, they're doing what you're talking about. But Evo, it's not. It's still $10,000 for first place. Let's still be real. It's not cool. It's still not cool.
It's still not enough to like.
This is still peanuts. This is still peanuts. Sure. It's at least if you win first place at Evo, you can afford your paid for vacation, right? You had a nice trip to Vegas. So but I agree with you. That's what Street Fighter 6 is doing. But they're also doing another $1 million for the rest of the tour, $1 million
for
plus
the tour in general.
So I really want to know what the prize distribution is for the rest of the tournaments. Because the first place at the finals, that's the headline grabber to get random people to tune in and be like, oh, what's going on here? I'm interested. But the rest of the tour is where the sustainability comes in. So that's what I'm curious about. And even Evo, I still think is not that top heavy. It's more top heavy, but it's still not what the Street Fighter 6 is doing. Like $1 million for first and then 100,000 for second or something. You know what I mean?
For sure.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely that like a headline grabber though. Having that much more.
Yeah.
And another point, this is still not more money than any other Evo. Like I already mentioned, Street Fighter V has had more money. Other games have had more money from the publishers. This is just a baseline that they're setting for the first time ever, so they're not embarrassed at the end of Evo. Like it's just to save face. This is only $200,000 total pricing, which is, I don't mean to scoff at that, but it's split between 8 games, right? It's actually not.
It's not a lot.
It's not life-changing money for anybody.
It's true. I hope more publishers do the pop bonus for their own game though, like within Evo. I hope that
might happen, because the other idea is also like I got the details of it I saw Rick posting about it. Say there's enough entrants to go over $25,000, right? $25,000 is only 2,500 entrants. If Street Fighter gets 3,000 entrants, that's $30,000 in the prize pool. Then none of that money has to come from Chipotle. So you're still paying to enter the tournament fee. They're not adding it on top. They're just supplementing it. So they're guaranteeing 25,000. So publishers might add more money. There might be more entrants based on people, which I feel like they should just do. To me, it would have been great if they just said, hey, whatever the prize pool plus 25,000. To me, it still feels a little cheap. I'm not going to lie. Because they might not be paying out for any of these tournaments. They might not be paying out any money. For Street Fighter 6, they're not paying out any money guaranteed.
Wait, so,
I guarantee you that.
Oh wow! I actually didn't know that. I thought the money that you put in to enter the tournament goes to the pot on top of the 25,000. Dude, I actually had no clue. I had no idea. That's insane.
Rick has made a few tweets. Rick is the general manager of Evo. That's why I keep referencing him. he made a few tweets saying like there's some flexibility here, but the current idea that is guaranteed is that you will have at least $25,000 at least. So, but that means that it's not additive; it's just supplementary. But like I said, yeah, Street Fighter 6 is for sure getting 3,000 people minimum. It's going to be over $25,000, and then maybe Capcom adds money to that. So this is more to help the games that don't have that. Like MK11, I doubt is going to have a prize pool from NRS right now. UMVC 3 is going to have no prize pool from anybody.
Yeah.
So it's to help those games. But yeah, I wish it was just like, hey, give us a 25K extra. Like, don't be cheap about it.
Yeah. When you word it like that, you're definitely right.
Yeah. Still a step in the right direction. I don't want to complain too much.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I do remember in 2019 when Eunice was there, like we were talking about, Clear Lamp won. I think it was like 7,000 or something. And I remember someone else in the top 8, and they made only like $300 out of like 1,000 people or something. They went gambling and they won like double what Clear Lamp won by winning.
So you had to win the tournament.
Which is like, it's so cursed to think about that. Like he won like a 1,200 player bracket, and it was super competitive. And this dude just gambled a bit after with his.
We don't need pop bonuses. It's in Vegas. You can make your own pop bonus. Just go to the
win
table.
Win out of slots or something.
Go to pop bonus. Put it all black.
Those grand final prize pools. When you think about where you are, that's like that's nothing in Vegas.
Yeah. You're in Vegas. Too.
It's like that money. Money is funny money in Vegas. So like you win, you get first place for some of these tournaments. You got under $2,000. That means nothing. Like
how many blackjack hands do I get now? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they needed to solve that. I think this solves it to a degree. It's a step in the right direction, and I'm hoping to see more improvements as we go. But like I said, it helps tournaments like UMVC 3, which is a big one. Yeah, I think that's the other thing we want to talk about. The fact that Marvel is back at Evo, baby.
Dude, yeah, I'm up, man. I'm so excited. Honestly, it's in the retro game spot. I'm not gonna lie. When they said the retro game spot, I felt the wrinkles on my face showing. I had to get my cane out.
I think we all did.
My back cracking. I was like, oh no,
it's definitely a throwback, but the scene for it is still so strong. Like my God, like
yeah. And honestly, like shout outs to Tong, all the people that have been holding the Marvel community down for this like even to happen, and it was so cool. I saw like Tong's reaction to the news, and he's crying like real honest tears of happiness, and it's just so cool to see because this game has been around for so long, and the people that play it are so dedicated to it. Because I don't know, there's tons of fighting games like that come and go, but for me, I get it for the Marvel players. Like there's no game that hits like it, man. I love that game to death. But yeah, it's just really cool to see. There's a ton of old faces coming back for this now after hearing the news. I'm hearing the Facebook groups, like they're all circulating again because they're all boomers,
Facebook
right?
groups. Yeah,
man, you're going throwback. There's the wrinkles right there.
That's how we used to interact. I remember I had to figure out the FGC groups through Facebook groups. That was the Marvel days for sure. Wow,
I can have the same stuff, your online matchmaking groups. Wow, the Facebook groups are back.
It's gonna be the Twitter kids versus the Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook boomers.
I saw some Facebook groups. They're like, oh, I guess we should use Discord now or something.
they're like, what's Parsec?
Yeah, what's Parsec? Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a huge storyline. I mean, like you mentioned with Tong running Tampa Never Sleeps, they've been doing all these online events, and there's been a whole new generation of players who have been getting really, really, really good, and they've been all playing online with Parsec. Which allows them to connect. It lets them bypass the crappy in-game netcode and use delay-based netcode with servers based all over the world. And it's a huge community effort to make that happen. But they've been grinding the game, and now it's like, okay, there's a $25,000 prize pool out there at Evo, and a lot of the players playing those tournaments. There's some OGs I would say that were active during the heyday, but definitely a lot of new people, some young players, really young players too.
Yeah, for sure.
They're good. So what we're setting up for is this clash of generations. Really, there's the OGs that haven't played since 2016, and then there's the players who have been on the grind, and some young players who have never gotten the chance to play at an Evo with Marvel ever. And I don't know what's going to happen. That's what I'm really excited to see.
I'm super excited for that storyline as well. Like we're gonna have all these like prehistoric like arcade stick players like myself, and then we got all the new Parsec kids. It's actually pretty cool. I've been watching some of the TNSs, the Parsec tournaments, and yeah, there's some new kids that are pretty good. I think the player that I think impresses me the most, that's a kind of a newer player, is Mundank. Mundank is good. He and like these people, they've played here and there, but they were later bloomers for sure. Right. They definitely started getting the results after like 2017. And it's cool to see them like at the level they got through just Parsec alone and the tournaments they go to now. But yeah,
I love that. Because like I kind of relate to that. I feel like to me personally, I'm never good out of the gate with games. I like to grind them for a super long time and just put in tons of hours. So I really respect people who stick to a game and grind it and start getting results. However, I do think it's going to be a tough challenge. I think the one clash we already saw, I think it was CEO Chris G showed up and like won the Marvel bracket. It had all TNS in there, but Chris G kind of swept them, to be quite honest. I think Monday got second at that tournament.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm like, God, you gotta get over the Chris jitters like everybody else.
Look, I don't want to be a party pooper, but I'm gonna tell you this Evo is probably gonna have a lot of old faces, depending on how much in shape they're gonna get. We'll see some new faces too, like Liberal Terminator, like you said. Who else? Mundank, Milky, the Magneto player. He's good.
I'm looking at Escalante too. He's an OG. He's an OG. But I think he was also kind of a relatively late bloomer. Sure, he played a lot in NYC, but he's been cooking in the online tournaments.
Yeah, dude. There's so many old heads. Like I've been seeing Nemo practicing again. I've been seeing him do the faultine loops on his stream. So he's been practicing. Yeah, we got Jabril. I saw Cloud said he was going to be practicing again. Super Noon.
Jabril is
Jabril. I okay. If there's one player I'd be the most scared to like beat everybody is probably Jabril. He's dead set about doing well at the Evo. And I've also even heard a few rumblings of Ryan LV as well. I've heard about that. Yeah.
Ryan LV, he won 2016 Evo, right?
He won the 2017
he basically
last Evo.
Took the crown and just like disappeared to his cave. Like, I'll take that throne, thank you. And then it was over.
Never heard from him again.
Side story. He just won Evo and left. Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, he's a badass.
So side story. That year that he won all the tournaments in 2017, he only lost to two players at all. He dropped a set. He lost to Chris G, and he lost to me one time. And after I beat him,
actually, I remember that set. I watched that recently.
So after that set, I was just being I was just being toxic and stupid. I posted on Twitter. I said Ryan LV's kind of overrated. I tweeted that after I won. I was like, man, I sure am funny, and I just said tweet. And after at Evo 2017, I run into Ryan LV again in the bracket, and he puts me down. He puts me in my place. He beats me. He wins Evo. He never makes a tweet about like, I won Evo. I'm so proud of myself. I worked so hard all year. Do you know what he does instead? He just hits retweet on Ryan LV is overrated by me.
He's so cold with it though.
That's the only tweet he made. I was in the abyss.
That's the last we ever heard of him.
You're a troll, bro.
He just mic drop after hitting retweet.
Yeah, you set up the alley-oop for them.
I did. I was asking for it. I'm not gonna lie.
You're part of the win in that way.
Bro, he retired me. I was like, you got it.
Man, it's gonna be good. I'm hoping at least for a good KBR run as well, and a good Radif run. I want to see some player one action. That's what I'm looking forward to. But
man, I gotta get back in shape.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I think it's just cool to see because I think MVC3 really hit that same lane as like a melee where. It's a game that wouldn't die. It has so much depth and technicality and player expression within it that the community kind of carried it on. So I feel like this is the beginning of a Melee-like resurgence.
Dude,
I'm hoping because Melee has top players and an active competitive scene, and there's a healthy ecosystem. That game is super popular and it's old as dirt at this point. And so I think MVC3, this Evo could be the beginning of that potentially.
Yeah, for sure. And the game is still being pushed like Melee, right? It's always being pushed. Since this Evo announcement, I've been seeing like new Marvel tech like all the time. Like I saw some new anti-Phoenix tech been posted on Twitter lately. It's cool to see, man. I know that game has so much more depth in there too, and like it can be pushed so much further. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good comparison of Melee and Marvel But yeah, and also I've heard like maybe in the future the game might even be able to get rollback from some of the modding.
Been seeing the
so
modding.
who knows when that is? Who knows when that is? But that is in the works, which is oh man, if that gets it out, if they actually get rollback from Marvel 3, like as I'll play Marvel 3, maybe I'll see you guys.
Hell yeah! I mean that's what Melee needed too. They got it with Slippy, and then that was like the next evolution in Melee.
Yeah,
so that'd be so sick. I'd be hopping on there, mashing some heavies. Game is too sick.
I'm super hyped for Marvel, man.
Hell yeah. So any closing thoughts? What's everyone's like most hype for Evo 2023? I guess Vineeth, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
For me, I gotta say Marvel is close to Street Fighter 6 for me. I gotta give it to Street Fighter 6, but Marvel is actually like super close in terms of what I'm excited for. For spectating, I'm gonna actually watch all of Marvel 3. If I miss anything, I'm going back to the archives to watch it. That game is too sick.
I think for me, I mean, obviously, I'm really interested in 6. Strive, like I said, I'm interested in for like the storylines. But again, like I'm really interested to see how Type Lumina ends up being. So I'm really interested in watching that. And I like KOF too, even though I'm really bad at it. But those 4 are the ones I'm really going to be paying a lot of attention to.
Cool.
Oh yeah, the after the storylines for a lot of the players at the World Tour, it showed that there was even more talent in other places, like different regions, because of the format for it. So I'm excited to see a lot of the like different players from those regions be in the bracket at Evo to just shake things up even more. I like upsets. I enjoy them. I'm all about the storylines. And not the same faces. I like when we see the different ones, like the gym player, like Rife. I'm big fan at the World Tour final, and he was also at Rebel Golden Letters. I'm just a big fan, and now because I've seen him, like I know there's players in those regions, like I think it's Saudi Arabia, I think. So like just seeing that in Africa as well, like I want to see that at Evo even more because the travel restrictions was a thing last year, and I think there's some things that happened with that, like you all talked about earlier in the discussion. So I think that might have limited some of the people who came out.
Yeah.
But this year, it's gonna be a full force, and I am so excited. So that's regional representation and just more killers and upsets and an intense, just bracket play. I like that. So that's
right. Cool. I think that's the big thing this Evo. I think we're hoping that this will be like the true return. Evo 2022 was a great event for those who got to go, but it was definitely kind of like the test run, I feel like, because just people couldn't make it out. And also, if you personally chose not to come out because of COVID, like, totally understandable, right?
Yeah.
But I think now the world's in a bit of a better position to really get international travel going again. So I think that's a big thing for across all the games. I think we're going to see.
It affected all the games. Yeah.
I think just like Evo Japan, I think because people have not been able to travel for so long or go to an Evo, I think that's going to be a big resurgence for everybody for this to really be finally fully open. So I think it's going to be an amazing Evo. Maybe the best one. Maybe. Who knows?
Sponsored by Chipotle.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Chipotle.
If they give us our free burrito,
get that burrito. It's gonna be the best Evo once I get my burrito.
It'll be the best Evo free. We're easy to please. Just have a giant mountain of like cheese and guac and chicken. It's huge. Just
that's what I'm thinking. I'm seeing it in my head. I'm seeing it in my head, dude. I'm seeing it. We go into the video to the far right. We have these massive lines of Chipotle, bro, like with the little sterno things at the bottom, like a cookout.
No, it's gonna be giant rocket engines lighting them up, keeping them warm. No, I'm gonna walk in with a Chipotle burrito. They're always strict about no food in these venues. I'm gonna come with a burrito. Like, you can't stop me now.
Dude, I'm gonna slip on some beans like near my pool or something. You gotta be careful.
Just
even if you
spilling beans everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be a dangerous Evo. You gotta watch out. More ways than one. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this podcast Evo episode. I think we're all hyped. So thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next episode.